NXT is bar none the best wrestling show of the week. I will say it again. NXT bar none is the best wrestling show of the week. NXT is phenomenal, and they constantly keep us on our toes and keep us wanting for more. They've got great storylines and great characters. What more could you ask for? It's wacky and crazy and sometimes zany at times, and that's why I love NXT. NXT is phenomenal. I love it. I love this show. I love NXT. I love it. So we're going to get into the review. We're going to get into NXT from February the 18th, 2025. A really good show. So we kicked the show off with Oba Femi. So he called out the four fools who jumped him at Vengeance Day. He said they didn't finish the job. They hit me with their best shot. But he's still standing and he's unfazed. So he calls them out and they don't show up. But TNA's Moose, yes, Moose, shows up from TNA. He's the X Division champion. He shows up. He said that he's the one man that Oba can't rule over. Oba says that in that place, you're the man. That's your bubble. And here, he's inevitable. And then Moose tells Oba this has to happen. Oba Femi versus Moose. Then Oba says, don't worry, it will. So this was good. I am not a fan of Moose. I actually used to be a fan of Moose years ago. But as of right now, no, I'm not. Moose is boring. He's been around for some years. He's been around in TNA for about close to a decade, about 8 years. I believe he had his debut, was it in 2016 or 2017? I think it was 2017. Anyway, this is fine. This should be okay. This should be a pretty good little matchup. It looks good on paper, so that's why they went with it, obviously. And maybe this could be Moose's way of getting into WWE. Maybe, because he has been clamoring he's wanting to be on NXT for a while, so he finally got it. And maybe, just maybe, this could be leading to a Worlds Collide TNA versus NXT. I think we should get that. That could happen at Stand and Deliver Weekend, or it could happen at Rebellion, which is a week after WrestleMania. So we'll have to wait and see. Moving on. So Ava's backstage with Eddie Thorpe. He basically wants another title shot. No, he doesn't. My bad, I'm sorry. So Eddie Thorpe says that it was the biggest victory of his career, the fact that he beat Trick Williams in the strap match at Vengeance Day. He said he deserves another title shot. So Uriah Connors and Cale Dixon, they show up. I don't know who those guys are at all. So Ava refuses to attend their party. Eddie says that Mr. Chase would ruin their lives just like he did Chase Hughes. So Uriah feels Mr. Chase would whoop Eddie Thorpe's ass in the strap match. On behalf of Mr. Chase, Cale Dixon challenges Eddie Thorpe to a match later on in the night. Okay, this is fine. Not a fan of Eddie Thorpe, but, you know, he's okay, I guess. He's okay. Moving on, first match of the night, triple threat. Kalani Jordan versus Jada Parker versus Carmen Petrovich. Carmen Petrovich defeats both Kalani Jordan and Jada Parker. Really good match here. So she's now the new number one contender to face Stephanie Vacker next week for the NXT Women's North America Championship. So, like I said, this is fine. The finish was kind of weird, but it does make sense. So, basically, they This allowed for Karma Petrovic to roll up. I believe it was Jada Parker for the 1-2-3. So that's fine. That makes sense. Post-match, there was a massive brawl that broke out involving Fatal Influence. But also, Jada Parker and Kalani Jordan, they got into a brawl too. And I still have no idea why Jada Parker and Kalani Jordan are feuding with one another. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I guess we'll have to see how the shit plays out. Really good stuff. Moving right along. So, Jordynne Grace, she comes out to help out Stephanie Vacker and Julia. And this beatdown that Fatal Influence put on Karma Petrovic, it lasted like 3 minutes. It lasted through the entire commercial break, which was kind of funny. I was like, okay, I see where they're going. So, Jordynne Grace then challenges them to a 6-woman tag for the main event. Okay, that's fine. Moving on. This leads us into Ruka and Zarya. They defeated Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson of the Metaphor. Makes sense. So Zarya hit the spear, followed by the F5, and then she tagged in Ruka, who hit the Soul Snatcher for the 1-2-3. Makes perfect sense. I think they're probably going to end up calling up both Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. They've been there for a while. Either they came in 2021 or they came in 2022. Either way, they've been there for quite some time. And honestly, I think they are ready for the main roster. I really do. Moving right along. So, Sarah Schreiber, she had an interview with Wes Lee, Tyreek, and Tyson. So Wes Lee talked about Wes Lee talked about the unpredictable nature of NXT's current landscape. You never know who's going to show up. You never know who's going to stab who in the parking lot. That was great right there. Good shit, Wes. Good shit. Wes knows that him and his crew will be ready to capitalize on the opportunities that are presented to them. So Ricky Starks walks past him, and immediately Sarah Schreiber gives Wesley the cold shoulder. I was like, what the fuck? That's so disrespectful. But it does make sense. Moving on. So this leads us into the contract signing of Ricky Saints, a.k.a. Ricky Starks. So Ricky Starks comes out. He gets on the mic. He says that NXT is amazing. He put over the brand and everything else. He said for him, it's a reality. Main eventing every PLE, that's a reality. Winning the NXT Championship, that's a reality. He said that he's going to be the man in NXT, and he's going to do what he always does to the best of his ability, and that's show up and show out. He said, because the revolution begins now. So Ethan Page shows up. He said that Ricky Saints shocked the world. He called him a genius for copying him. He hopes that his contract would allow him to get a shot at the NXT Championship. He said that he's following the Ethan Page playbook to a T. And so Ricky Starks and them, they continue to banter back and forth. He said that he can tell Ethan Page right now that you're wearing your insecurities as tight as you got that jacket on. That was kind of funny. He said that he talks the talk and walks the walk. He's here to take this place on a whole nother level. And Ethan Page said that he set the bar for NXT that no one can reach. And basically, he's saying that we should be celebrating the victory that Ethan Page had over Javon Evans. He said Javon showed up. He got that dog in him. one thing is that people like Javon, they always come around and whoop that ass. And so Javon Evans shows up, and he gets into a brawl with Ethan Page, which was great. So Wes Lee comes out. He says he's going to give him a pass for what happened earlier on. He says there are some rules around here. Rule number one is you don't disrespect Wes Lee. He said sign the contract right now. And Ricky Starks says, why is everybody angry all the time? What's this? And Wes Lee says he's not angry. He's letting them know that this is a promise. This is how it's going to be. So he says that him and Ethan Page are two peas in a pod. He says that they're above their limit. He's going to do one better. Actually, next week it's going to be him versus Wes Lee. So Ricky Starks signs the contract, and then him and Wes Lee have a little brawl, and that was great. Really good shit here. Ricky Starks getting the name change is fine. He actually does like it. He said it in an interview. The reason they gave him that name was because of the fact he's from New Orleans. And then not only that, you already have Zoe Stark on the main roster. So, yeah, there's the reason why he had to change that. We don't know. Maybe he could have... maybe it was a thing where Tony Khan was like, nah, you can't use that. Even though Ricky Starks does own the IP to everything he has. So maybe it's something like that. But this was great. I love this. Ricky Starks is going to kick major fucking ass in NXT. And I do think that he'll be champion before the year is over with. I do. I would say maybe like Halloween Havoc, he becomes champion. So, bet him up for a good, basically 8 months. So, good stuff. Good shit. Moving on. Sarah Schreiber, she had a backstage interview with Fraxium. They said that they're still trying to figure out more information about the 4 guys who attacked them after their match at Vengeance Day. No Dakota Cash Crew, they show up. They want a tag team title shot. That doesn't mean they get one. So, basically, No Quarter Catch Crew, that being Miles Bourne and Tavion Heights, they challenge Matt and Jeff Hardy, yes, the Hardy Boys, to a match next week in Cincinnati. Really good shit. That is fucking awesome. Not a fan of Jeff Hardy. I mean, my bad. I'm sorry about that. Not a fan of Matt Hardy currently. But Jeff, oh yeah, sign me up. So this makes sense. And the Hardys, they've won every single set of tag gold under the sun, basically. So maybe whenever they do the Worlds Collide show, maybe they'll be the ones to defeat Axiom. Maybe. I don't know. Moving on. So Ricky Saints, he finds a group of NXT superstars laid out. I think it's Hank and Tank and Josh Briggs and Inamura. So that was cool. Really good shit there. He's like, damn, NXT is crazy. I'm like, yeah, Ricky. NXT is a real fucking crazy place. Moving on. So Shawn Spears defeats Stacks. All right, this is fine. It makes sense. So basically, Shawn Spears wins via the C4. Who cares? This makes sense as to why Stacks lost. So there's that. Moving on. So Moose, he runs into Lexis King in the backstage area. Moose says that my bad. Lexis King said that he was impressed about how Moose stood up to Oba Femi. How they got some balls in the system. Lexis King would love to trust the system, but he doesn't trust the way they came to NXT challenging him for his title. How come Moose won't put up his X Division title on the line? Moose said that he's tired of hearing this nonsense. Moose doesn't know how things get done in NXT. But if Lexis King wants a shot at his TNA X Division Championship, all he had to do was ask. Moose says he's going to destroy Lexis King next week. That should be fun. That should be fun. I'm very interested in that. Next week's show seems like it's going to be fucking awesome. Man, NXT is so damn good. So damn good. Moving on. So Mr. Chase, he doesn't appreciate Uriah Connors and Kel Dixon speaking on his behalf. He basically thinks that Chase U was still dead, which it kind of is, but it's not. They're looking to rebuild Chase U. I don't know where Thea Hale is. Thea Hale's been gone for quite some time. Hopefully she's okay. Hopefully she makes her return in due time. She's been gone for about a good 6 months. I believe her last match was either in September or October. I think her last match was back in September of last year, so it's been a minute. Moving on. The Hardyz, they accepted the challenge of the No Quarter Catch crew. They want Fraxium to have a front seat. It's time for a Hardy party at NXT. Nice, really good shit. Moving on. Eddie Thorpe defeats Andre Chase. Match was a little bit too long in my opinion, but it is what it is. Who cares? Moving on. So Ava, she prevented a massive brawl breaking out because both Ricky Saints and Javon Evans, they were arguing back and forth with Ethan Page and Wes Lee. It's going to be a tag match next week. That should be cool. That should be interesting. I'm loving what they're doing with Ricky Saints. I really am. Loving it. Main event of the evening. Jordynne Grace, Stephanie Vaquer, and Julia. They defeat Fatal Influence, which is Jasmine Nix, Daisy Jane, and Fallon Henley in a 6-woman tag match. That was great. So, Jordynne Grace did well in the main event. So, really good stuff. Who does she choose? I don't know. I'm guessing, if I had to say, they're probably going to have her face Stephanie Vaquer. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how soon they want to do Julia and Jordynne Grace. Maybe that's somewhere we can go for Stand and Deliver, maybe. I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see. And that was the show. But before the show actually ended, so Mr. Stone was laid out. There was a brawl in the parking lot. Also, Ava's office was totally destroyed. There was writing on the wall that said, "No one is safe here. No one is safe at all." And this was great. So, really good stuff. The 4 guys, that faction, whatever they're going to be called, they didn't show up at all. NXT was extremely good this week. Extremely good. They're doing stuff with TNA. The crossover is great. So that's leading to a Worlds Collide show, which is excellent. They're doing stuff with the guys that I don't like Shawn Spears and stuff like that. That's okay. They're doing stuff in the women's division. NXT's firing on all cylinders right now. Ricky Starks, a.k.a. Ricky Saints. He's a breath of fresh air. I forgot to mention that Trick Williams was on this show, too. He said that he's going to get his revenge on Eddie Thorpe. So, Trick appears on the Titantron. He says this issue will not be over until Trick says it's over. And if he's going down, he's taking Eddie Thorpe under with him. So that's cool there. Interesting. I do like that. This show didn't even have their top star, Trick Williams, and this show was still great. So again, I'm loving what they're doing with the TNA crossover. I'm loving what they're doing with the women. Ricky Starks is lighting the place on fire. He's got 2 feuds waiting for him. He's got Wes Lee, and he's got Ethan Page. So that's great. Really, really good shit. But, man, NXT just continues to hit home runs, man, and this was no different. Again, I'm not a fan of Moose, but him and Oba Femi should be okay. I'm excited for it. And next week's episode looks like it's going to be a boatload of fun. But what did you guys think of NXT? Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.